Alright, now, with Keifer being on the road all the time, I'm going to give him a quick little update. Now, I've got a lot going on here, so we're going to have to roll through this quite a bit. But we got new parts and stuff like that that I want to show him that he'll never get to see unless I show him. Now, on our frame, you can see we got all of it black. We've got our shock silver. We've been going through boxes of stuff, but nuts and bolts, having to blast, prep, prime, and paint every little bolt. Now, a lot of our heim joints on our suspension pieces, which you see over there on the table, are already zinc coated, which looks like a grade 8 type coating. So I went to town and I've bought some grade 8 bolts, and you can buy them by the pound at TSC, which will save you a lot of money. And then that'll kind of give us our theme, so everything will have that zinc look as we go along. Up here you can see, when you buy them by the piece, you pay $1 or so a piece for these bolts. I can buy them by the pound, and I can buy a variety of them. Now, this was like $54 for all these bolts right here, but that's going to give me enough bolts to be able to put this thing throughout the whole vehicle, and it's a good solid bolt here. So, and then in here you can see these we've blasted, and we're going to have to reuse them. So we have to blast them, pickle them, prime them, and paint them to make those work. So that's very time consuming. So this will save us some time. Even though that was $54, we'll end up saving time by being able to put them right in place. But some of them we have to clean and paint. Now, over here on the table, this is the 9-inch rear end that we took out of it. Now, when I was steam cleaning this thing, I noticed the gears have some pitting on it. Now, that pitting isn't that bad, and that is the back side of the gear. The drive gear side is this side, which isn't so bad. So there's a chance that that may be okay. But when I was working on it, down inside there's a little bitty piece of metal right there that caught my eye. So it told me I need to tear this thing down and look at it. So when I tore it down, I found on my pinion right here, you can see my crush sleeve is broken in two. That thing is fixing to come apart. In here on my carrier, the housing itself is busted right down through there. What causes that, or what I feel like caused this, is when they raised this truck up, they didn't put the extended range U-joints and CV joints in it, and I'm going to have to address that as time goes on. It has put a bind on this. It has wore out everything to do with the front and rear pinion gears by the U-joint hyperextending, and then that constant hard vibration destroy the front and the rear. I'm just thankful that I tore this rear end down. I started not to. We were going to steam clean and paint this. We found massive chaos in the front axle and the rear axle, which both could have locked up the axle, which both could have made the truck run off the road, crash, or hurt somebody. Now, I had another casing that I got from a friend of mine, and it's the same style casing. I got it in place. You can see right here I got my tru-trac unit in here and my 373 gears. So that is far superior than what we had right there in my install kit. So it will be getting all new bearings, new pit ring, new pinion, and all that, and that will really put that in good place. Now, over here on my table, I'll show you some of the parts that we've got in on this order. Now, Keifer has bought a lot of parts right here, and I'm going to go through and show him what he's bought. His flywheel had signs of cracking in it. And the drive gear for the starter on his other flywheel was chewed all to pieces. So I was able to get this start. I think his flywheel was like $100, $120, something like that, not too much. Brand new teeth, brand new surface. I opted for a center force clutch. Now I had to buy a disc for a Chevrolet to fit our 5-speed that we're fixing to put in it. But that is a center force disc, center force throwout bearing, and a center force pressure plate. This pressure plate has these weights that will actually sling out when the engine speeds up, and it puts more force on the clutch disc. So that's a really nice clutch, really nice balanced pieces. All that will be new and really work well with that 5-speed. Over here we had to buy a water pump anyway. You can get these from Jegs. I bought an aluminum pump. It's a Milodon. It's a high performance water pump. It has a larger volume, so it will pump a larger volume of water as opposed to a stock pump. And it's not that much more. Good little insurance there. 160 degree thermostat. I like to try to run these around 160, 180 degrees. That'll help keep it a little bit cooler. Now on our firing system, our electronics, we got MSD 8.5 millimeter black plug wires. That's going to match our, the engine's going to be the Lamborghini green, and everything trimmed out in black. I've got Excel spark plugs, wire separators, header gaskets. I've got a aftermarket high volume fuel pump. Also, we're going to switch this over. Ford had the regulator, separate regulator type system. This is a GM one wire alternator, 100 amp. Very simple. I always recommend put these in if possible. All I have to do is mount this dude and run one wire to it, and it'll charge 100 amps by itself, self-exciting. You don't have to turn it on. It does it all by itself. So I love that alternator right there. On the brake system, when we got the brake system, you know, the brake system was horrible. It was ran around the clutch system. It was zip tied everywhere, plumbed backwards. I ain't never seen such a mess. So I got Jeg to send me out front and rear brake lines. I will bend for them and fabricate all these right in place, custom, and run them real nice. I got a new master cylinder with the proper proportioning valve. They had a proportioning valve on there that was a old school, that actually where it had probably had drums all the way around, had no proportioning at all. This one will be like a 70-30 proportioning for front disc brakes, rear drum brakes. So his brake system will be way better. I bought some 2050 Royal Purple motor oil for the motor, antifreeze, oil filter. Now over here on the motor, I noticed that the balancer is coming apart. This motor seems like a really nice smooth motor, so I opted to go ahead and buy a brand new balancer so that rubber's in good shape, so that it balances properly. I've bought a one-piece oil pan gasket. This has a cork gasket. This is something they come out with a little while back. It's one piece, seals a lot better, real nice setup right there. This thing has a rope seal in the rear, so I'm going to switch that over to a neoprene two-piece seal. That'll seal and work a lot better than the one that was in it. But these things are notorious about leaking oil anyway, so I'm going to do my best to stop the oil leaks, but it's never a guarantee. It's kind of like a Harley Davidson. Sometimes this thing is just going to leak, but we're going to do our best to try to get that stopped. And then some new cork valve cover gaskets. So that's where we're at with this build. I got a little more paint work to do. I'm fixing to build these axles. The front axle parts came. They sent parts for a Dana 30. I had to send those back because we have a Dana 44 axle. So they should be coming back here pretty soon, and that'll be our next step, is get these axles up underneath here, get this motor painted, and get it set down in there. So let's get back to work at this thing. Well, Keifer, I've about got your rear axle done up, and I thought I'd take a minute to show you what this looks like, because hopefully we'll never have to see this again. But inside here is your tru-trac locking unit. We've got your 373 gears on here. I've got your wear pattern. If you can kind of see the wear pattern, it's dead center of your tooth. I've got 8.5 thousandths of backlash on it, and you're supposed to be between 7 and 10. 15 pounds of resistance on it. Absolutely perfect. So now I'll go and put this in here in a second. I've got your axles here. I've got to press new bearings on it. And then over here on your rear casing, I took everything out of it, and neither one of these units had a fill plug in them. So I've welded in a fill plug here, and I decided to put you a drain plug in the bottom. So I drilled, tapped, and put you a drain plug in the bottom. And then got it all washed out and got the glue ready, and we're fixing to set this on there, and hopefully we won't have to see this again.